Have you ever poured your trust into someone only to feel the sting of doubt in return? Do their kind gestures and sweet words mask something more self-serving? It's a painful realization when relationships built on sincerity reveal cracks of insincerity. In this video, we'll uncover 7 clear signs that someone might not be genuine with you. These lessons will not only help you navigate your relationships, but also empower you with the inner strength to guard your peace. Before we dive in, here's a small challenge. Watch until the end and count how many of these signs you've noticed in your own relationships. Let's begin. Sign 1. They're never there when you need them. Extended. Have you ever been the one always showing up, offering help, lending a listening ear, or giving your full support, only to be met with indifference when you're in need? It's a painful realization, but it's a reality many of us face. True relationships are built on mutual support, yet insincere people often reveal themselves through their absence. They're present for the celebrations, the laughs, and the good times, but as soon as the clouds roll in, they disappear like fair-weather friends. Let me share a personal story. I once had a friend I deeply trusted, someone I believed would always have my back. Whenever she faced challenges, a tough breakup, work stress, or even a health scare, I was the first to show up. I'd cancel plans, spend hours listening to her vent, and even offer solutions when she felt lost. But then, life threw me a curveball. I hit a rough patch at work, an overwhelming combination of deadlines, miscommunications, and burnout. I swallowed my pride and reached out to her, desperate for some emotional support. Her response? Excuses. She was too busy, or said she'd call back but never followed through. At first I brushed it off. People get busy, right? But then, a few months later, I experienced a financial crunch that left me scrambling to cover some unexpected expenses. I asked her for a small loan, just enough to get through the month. It wasn't an unreasonable request. I knew her financial situation well, and it was something she could easily help with. But once again, she had an excuse. "Oh, I wish I could, but I'm saving up for something big," she said vaguely. That's when it hit me like a ton of bricks. This wasn't just a one-time oversight. Our friendship had always been a one-way street. Looking back, the signs were there. She was always happy to take, whether it was advice, time, or a shoulder to cry on, but when it came to giving, she had a talent for disappearing. I started to question, how many times had I been there for her, expecting nothing in return, only to realize that I was pouring energy into a relationship that wasn't reciprocated. It's a hard truth to confront, but recognizing it is vital. When someone only values you for what you can give and consistently lets you down in your time of need, it's a glaring red flag. Relationships should be a two-way exchange of care, effort, and understanding. True friends don't vanish when things get tough. They might not always have the perfect solution, but they show up, even when it's inconvenient, even when they're busy. Here's what I've learned. If someone's presence feels conditional, it's time to protect your heart. Evaluate the pattern. Are they only there when they need something? Do they make time for you? Or do their excuses pile up the moment the tables turn? Trust isn't built overnight, but it can crumble quickly when actions don't align with words. You deserve relationships where support flows both ways. Life isn't always sunshine and rainbows, and the people who truly care about you will stand by your side through the storms. Pay attention to their patterns, and don't ignore what your gut tells you. Because sometimes, walking away from a one-sided relationship is the best way to make space for people who genuinely value you. Sign 2. They never reach out first. Extended. Have you ever noticed that you're always the one keeping a relationship alive? You're the one texting, calling, making plans, and putting in the effort to stay connected. But what happens if you stop? The silence can be deafening, and it often reveals the truth about the relationship's foundation. Think about it. A genuine connection is a two-way street. Yet there are people who only get in touch when they need something, a favor, advice, or someone to vent to. But what about the rest of the time? If the friendship matters to them, shouldn't they be reaching out to check on you too? It's a tough pill to swallow, but this dynamic often exposes whether someone truly values you or simply enjoys the benefits of having you around. Here's what I experienced. I had a friend I deeply cared about. For years, I was the one initiating everything, catch-ups, coffee dates, and even the smallest conversations. But one day, I started to wonder what would happen if I stopped. So, I decided to do an experiment. I didn't reach out. Days turned into weeks, and eventually months, but my phone stayed silent. No texts, no calls, no, "How have you been?" It hurt a lot. I questioned whether I'd done something wrong, whether I'd been too needy or overbearing. But then I realized something profound. The lack of effort wasn't a reflection of my value, it was a reflection of theirs. One quote that helped me through this realization is a piece of Stoic wisdom. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. I thought about this every time the silence stung. Instead of feeling rejected, I began to view this as an opportunity. An opportunity to let go of relationships that drained my energy and focus on those that filled me with joy, connection, and reciprocity. When you're the only one keeping a relationship alive, it's exhausting. You invest time, energy, and emotions into someone who doesn't reciprocate. And let's be honest, relationships like that aren't sustainable. The truth is, if someone truly values you, they'll make an effort, even if it's something small. It could be a quick text to check in, a funny meme they thought you'd like, or an invitation to catch up. It doesn't have to be grand, it just has to be genuine. This isn't about cutting people off over a single mistake or a rough patch. Everyone gets busy, and life can sometimes pull us in different directions. But if someone consistently leaves all the effort on your side, it's a sign of where their priorities lie. It's not about holding grudges, it's about recognizing patterns. Actions speak louder than words, and a one-sided relationship will only leave you feeling depleted. Here's the lesson I learned. Stop chasing people who don't chase you back. Let their absence be their answer. Sometimes letting go is the most loving thing you can do for yourself. It clears the space for people who genuinely care about you to step in. And when you redirect your energy toward relationships that are mutual, you'll feel the difference immediately. It's lighter, easier, and infinitely more fulfilling. Sign 3. They only focus on themselves. Extended. Ever been stuck in a one-sided conversation? The kind where the other person talks endlessly about their achievements, problems, or opinions, leaving no room for you to share anything about yourself. It's more than just bad manners. It's a clear red flag in a relationship. Healthy connections thrive on balanced exchanges, where both people feel seen, heard, and valued. When one person dominates every interaction, it's a sign that the relationship may not be as genuine as it seems. Let me share a personal experience. I had a friend who, from the outside, seemed like a great conversationalist. They were animated, passionate, and always full of stories. At first, I was happy to listen, thinking they were just going through a phase or needed someone to confide in. But over time, I noticed a pattern. No matter what I brought up, the conversation would always circle back to them. If I mentioned a personal struggle, they'd respond with, "Oh, that reminds me of what happened to me," and proceed to launch into a monologue. It wasn't just frustrating, it was draining. At first, I tried to rationalize their behavior. Maybe they didn't realize they were monopolizing our conversations. Maybe they needed an outlet to vent. But as the months went by, it became clear that this wasn't just occasional self-absorption, it was their default mode. They weren't interested in connecting with me as a person. What they really wanted was an audience, someone to validate their experiences without expecting anything in return. This dynamic started to affect my well-being. Every time we spoke, I'd leave the interaction feeling invisible and unimportant. My attempts to share my thoughts or feelings were often brushed aside or ignored entirely. And what's worse, I began to notice that when I wasn't available to listen, they didn't seem interested in maintaining the relationship. The message was clear. My value to them was tied to how well I could serve as a sounding board. True friends, however, don't operate this way. They understand that communication is a two-way street. They ask questions about your life, listen to your stories, and genuinely care about what you have to say. They celebrate your successes, comfort you in your struggles, and make you feel seen. A real friendship is built on mutual respect and empathy, not on one person consistently taking the spotlight while the other fades into the background. It's important to pay attention to the balance in your conversations. Do they genuinely listen when you speak, or do they interrupt and redirect the focus to themselves? Are they interested in your life, or do they only call you to talk about theirs? These patterns can reveal a lot about the sincerity of their intentions. If someone constantly leaves you feeling unheard and undervalued, it's a sign that the relationship may not be as reciprocal as it should be. In the end, relationships should nurture your peace, not drain it. Prioritize the people who make you feel heard and valued, and let go of those who don't. Life is too short to invest in people who only focus on themselves, leaving you emotionally depleted. Surround yourself with friends who listen, who care, and who make space for your voice. Those are the connections worth keeping. Sign 4. They forget what you talk about. Extended. Have you ever shared a deeply personal story, a cherished dream, or an important life event, only to realize later that the person you confided in didn't remember a thing? It stings, doesn't it? This isn't just a harmless oversight. It's often a clear sign that they didn't truly value what you shared. Deep down, we all want the people in our lives to not only listen, but to remember. Because remembering isn't just about memory, it's a meaningful act that shows genuine care and connection. I recall an experience with someone I considered a close friend. I had excitedly shared a major milestone. I'd finally enrolled in a course I'd been dreaming about for years. It wasn't a casual decision. It was something I had worked toward for a long time, pouring my hopes, energy, and even financial resources into making it happen. I was beaming when I told her, confident that she'd understand how much it meant to me. But the next time we met, she didn't mention it. Not a word. It was as if the conversation had never taken place. At first I tried to justify it. Maybe she was busy, distracted, or just had a lot on her plate. But then I started noticing a pattern. This wasn't a one-off incident. Time and again, I'd share personal stories or meaningful updates, and she'd forget. Conversations that I had invested emotional energy into seemed to vanish the moment they ended. It became painfully clear that she wasn't fully present when we talked. And that realization cut deep. Because here's the thing. When someone genuinely listens, they don't do it out of obligation. They listen because they care about you. Remembering the details of your life isn't a chore or a task. It's the natural result of being invested in the relationship. It's what makes you feel valued and seen, even when you're apart. When someone forgets the things you share, it sends an implicit message. What matters to you doesn't matter enough to me. This isn't about expecting perfection. Everyone forgets things from time to time. It's human. But there's a difference between occasional forgetfulness and a consistent lack of attention. True friends may not recall every detail, but they'll remember the important stuff. They'll ask follow-up questions, check in on your progress, and show genuine interest in what you've shared. Their actions reflect their care. In contrast, people who consistently forget what you talk about often view relationships in transactional terms. They may listen in the moment but aren't truly engaged. They might nod along out of politeness or even pretend to care, but their lack of follow-through reveals their disinterest. It's not that they're incapable of remembering, it's that they don't prioritize it. Recognizing this pattern can be disheartening, but it's also empowering. It's a chance to reassess who you share your energy with. If someone consistently forgets the things that matter to you, ask yourself, are they truly invested in this relationship, or are they simply going through the motions? Are you pouring time and effort into someone who doesn't value it? Ultimately, relationships thrive on reciprocity. When someone remembers what you share, it's not just about their memory, it's a reflection of their commitment to you. They're showing you that your words, your dreams, and your experiences matter. And that's the kind of friendship we all deserve. Sign 5. They always want something from you. Extended. Have you ever noticed a pattern in your relationships where someone's every question, every interaction, seems to come with a hidden agenda? At first, it might feel flattering, like they're showing interest in your life or reaching out because they care. But over time, it becomes clear that their primary motivation isn't connection, it's personal gain. These people may ask for favors, advice, or resources, but rarely, if ever, give back. Their interactions are more about what you can do for them than building a genuine relationship. A friend of mine, David, experienced this dynamic in a frustrating way. He had a colleague, John, who seemed friendly and interested in him. John frequently called to discuss projects, brainstorm ideas, and even ask about David's personal life. On the surface, it seemed like John was building a supportive relationship, but the cracks started to show when David faced financial trouble and needed help, a favor far smaller than anything John had previously requested of him. Suddenly, John was unavailable. His excuses were flimsy and dismissive, and David realized that the friendship wasn't based on mutual respect or care, but on what John could extract from him. This realization hurt. David had poured time, effort, and trust into the relationship, believing it was mutual, but when he needed help, he was met with indifference. It's a bitter truth to face. When someone only values you for what you can give, it's not a relationship, it's a transaction. And the moment you're unable to meet their needs, their interest in you evaporates. Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." This wisdom offers a powerful perspective. It's easy to become bitter or resentful toward people who use us, but Stoicism teaches us to rise above. Instead of mirroring their selfishness or dwelling on their actions, we should focus on creating healthy boundaries and refocusing our energy on people who genuinely care. Establishing boundaries is key. When you notice someone's interest in you is conditional, it's important to protect yourself from further exploitation. That doesn't mean being unkind or confrontational. It means being clear about your limits. If they only reach out to ask for favors, you don't have to say yes. If their calls or texts come with a pattern of self-serving motives, it's okay to step back and reassess the relationship. Not everyone who asks for something is insincere, of course. Relationships often involve giving and taking, and that's healthy. But the balance matters. A genuine connection is rooted in reciprocity. Both parties contribute to and benefit from the relationship. When one person consistently takes without giving, it's a sign they're more interested in what you offer than who you are. Recognizing this pattern in someone's behavior is both empowering and liberating. It frees you from the cycle of disappointment that comes with unmet expectations. By understanding their true intentions, you can make informed choices about how much energy and time you want to invest in them. Sometimes, stepping away isn't about rejecting the person. It's about valuing yourself enough to seek relationships that uplift and support you. The good news is that healthy, genuine relationships exist. They're with the people who show up for you, not just when it's convenient or beneficial for them, but because they care. They're the ones who celebrate your wins, stand by you in tough times, and make you feel valued for who you are, not what you can provide. Redirecting your focus toward these relationships isn't just a better use of your energy, it's a step toward cultivating a life filled with authentic connections. Sign 6. They talk behind your back. Extended. One of the most painful betrayals in any relationship is discovering that someone you trusted has been speaking negatively about you behind your back. It's not just hurtful, it undermines the very foundation of trust and respect that every meaningful connection is built upon. The sting of betrayal doesn't just come from their words. It's amplified by the realization that someone you cared about didn't value your bond enough to protect your name when you weren't around. Imagine this scenario. You share a small success with a colleague, expecting support or encouragement. Instead, you're met with a forced smile and a dismissive comment like, "Oh, that's not really a big deal, is it?" At first, you might brush it off as a bad day or insecurity on their part, but later you overhear, or worse, are told by someone else, that this same person has been diminishing your achievements behind your back. Suddenly, their lukewarm reaction makes sense, and the betrayal cuts deep. This is exactly what happened to Linda, a woman I know who had always been open and supportive of her colleagues. She formed what she thought was a genuine friendship with a coworker, sharing both her personal and professional milestones with them. But one day she discovered through mutual contacts that this supposed friend had been bad-mouthing her. They dismissed her accomplishments as trivial and even spread misinformation to make themselves look better in comparison. For Linda, it was a crushing blow, not just because of the betrayal, but because she had invested so much trust in this person. At first, Linda's reaction was anger, and rightfully so. It's natural to feel hurt when someone betrays your trust, especially in a way that feels calculated. But Linda, an admirer of Stoicism, found solace in the teachings of Marcus Aurelius. It is not the actions of others that disturb us, but our own judgments about them. This perspective helped her reframe the situation. Instead of dwelling on the betrayal or seeking revenge, Linda focused on what she could control, her response. This approach is powerful because it shifts the focus from the hurtful actions of others to how you protect your own peace. Talking behind someone's back says far more about the person doing it than the one being spoken about. It reveals their insecurities, jealousy, or lack of integrity. Recognizing this allows you to step back and assess the relationship with clarity. If someone resorts to gossip and negativity, they're not just harming your reputation. They're showing you they lack the qualities needed for a genuine, healthy connection. The hardest part is resisting the urge to stoop to their level. Gossip breeds more gossip, and retaliating by speaking negatively about them can feel tempting in the moment. But as Marcus Aurelius also reminds us, the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. Choosing integrity over retaliation isn't just a moral high ground. It's a way to maintain your peace and protect your energy from the toxicity they bring. Moving forward from this kind of betrayal starts with setting boundaries. If someone has shown you they can't be trusted, it's wise to limit what you share with them. This doesn't mean you have to confront them with anger or accusations. A quiet shift, reducing your openness, and focusing on healthier relationships is often the most effective way to protect yourself. Over time, their absence from your inner circle will feel like a weight lifted. In the end, talking behind someone's back reflects poorly on the person doing it, not the one being spoken about. By choosing to focus on your growth, your peace, and your authentic connections, you not only rise above the negativity, but also set the stage for healthier, more fulfilling relationships in your life. Sign 7. They act differently with different people. Extended. Have you ever noticed someone acting differently depending on who they're with? One moment, they're warm, charming, and engaging, and the next, they're distant or dismissive. This inconsistency can be confusing, but it often reveals a deeper truth about their character. People who behave this way tend to prioritize appearances and personal gain over genuine connection, tailoring their actions to suit their audience. It's a red flag that their warmth might not be authentic. It's simply transactional. Daniel, a successful professional, experienced this firsthand when he hit a tough patch in his career. During his prime, he was surrounded by friends who celebrated his achievements, praised his talents, and sought his company. But when he unexpectedly lost his job, the dynamic shifted. Those same friends who had once showered him with attention were suddenly too busy, distant, or unavailable. At first he thought it was a coincidence, or that they simply didn't know how to support him. But as time went on, he realized that they weren't avoiding him out of discomfort. They were redirecting their energy toward others who could offer more benefits. The stark difference in their behavior made it clear that their friendship had never been rooted in genuine care or connection. Instead, it had been built on what Daniel could provide: status, opportunities, or even just the social boost of being associated with someone successful. Once that was gone, so were they. For Daniel, this realization was painful, but it was also freeing. It allowed him to reevaluate his relationships and focus on building connections with people who valued him for who he was, not what he could offer. This kind of shifting behavior isn't limited to professional circles. It can happen in any relationship, whether it's a friend who treats you differently when they're with a more popular crowd, or a family member who's warm to you in private but critical in front of others. The pattern is the same. Their behavior wavers because their actions are guided by self-interest, not integrity. And when someone's actions are inconsistent, it's a sign that their character may be too. When you notice someone acting differently depending on their audience, it's essential to take a step back and reflect. Are they treating you warmly because they care, or because they see an advantage in staying close? Do they still reach out when you have nothing to offer, or does their interest fade as soon as your circumstances change? Patterns like these often reveal more about their true intentions than their words ever could. A true friend's behavior doesn't change with the circumstances or the audience. They're consistent in their kindness, support, and respect, whether you're at your peak or going through challenges. They don't seek out relationships based on what they can gain. They value the connection itself. Recognizing this distinction can help you identify who genuinely belongs in your life and who doesn't. Confronting this kind of behavior doesn't always require a dramatic conversation or severing ties. Sometimes it's as simple as adjusting your expectations. Instead of hoping for consistency from someone who's proven unreliable, you can protect your energy by investing in relationships that feel reciprocal and authentic. By setting boundaries, you ensure that their shifting loyalties don't disrupt your peace. In the end, a person's character shines brightest when things aren't going their way. Someone who treats others with respect and kindness, regardless of status, success, or audience, is the kind of person worth keeping close. When you surround yourself with people whose actions align with their words, you'll find yourself in relationships that uplift and support you through every season of life. And that's far more rewarding than any fleeting warmth offered by those who only care when it's convenient. Now that we've explored these 7 signs, it's time to pause and reflect. Recognizing insincere behavior in others can feel like a gut punch. After all, realizing that someone you trusted or cared about might not have your best interests at heart isn't easy. But here's the silver lining. This awareness is a powerful tool. It gives you the clarity to protect your peace, redirect your energy, and cultivate relationships that are rooted in genuine care and mutual respect. Remember, the lessons of Stoicism remind us to stay calm and resilient in the face of life's challenges. As Marcus Aurelius said, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Instead of letting insincere behavior harden us or fill us with resentment, we can rise above it, choosing to focus on what we can control, our own actions and the quality of relationships we nurture. If this video resonated with you, take a moment to like and share it. Chances are there's someone in your life who could benefit from recognizing these signs and protecting their energy. Sharing this message might just help someone else take the first step toward building stronger, healthier connections. And don't forget to subscribe for more lessons on living a life filled with strength, clarity, and self-awareness. Each week, we'll dive deeper into ways to navigate life's challenges, build resilience, and focus on what truly matters. Before you go, I want to hear from you. If you've made it this far, take a moment to comment below with the words, "I've uncovered a fake friend." Not only does it mark your journey toward clarity and self-respect, but it also creates a sense of community. You're not alone in this experience, and by sharing, you might inspire someone else to take a closer look at their own relationships. Life is too short to be weighed down by insincere connections. Surround yourself with people who see your worth, celebrate your wins, and stand by you through the tough times. These are the relationships that truly matter, the ones that uplift you and bring out your best self. Thank you so much for watching and for being part of this incredible community. Your journey toward strength, clarity, and self-respect is inspiring, and I'm honored to be a small part of it. Until next time, protect your peace, choose your connections wisely, and keep striving for a life filled with authentic joy. See you in the next video.